Isang himpilan.
Pinagsanib na puwersa.
Para sa mas malawak.
Mas maraming mararating.
At mas maraming maaabot ng impormasyon.
At serbisyo publiko.
Radio Pilipinas and Capital 104.3 Cola. Radyo Pilipinas News Nationwide.
Trending issues na pinag-uusapan.
World News in 5.
Ang inyong institusyon sa Philippine Sports Broadcast.
Di papahuli sa mahahalagang kaganapan.
Siksik sa impormasyon.
Mga palatuntunan ng Radyo Pilipinas. Radyo Publiko 738.
Sports Radio 918.
Radyo Magazine 1278.
At Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Nag-uugnay ng pamahalaan sa sambayanan. Mapapakinggan na
Sa Capital 104.3 FM. Capital 104.3.
Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Sports Radio. Radyo Magazine. Serbisyo Publiko.
AM
and FM Collab. Sa Capital 104.3 FM.
Radyo Pilipinas.
Radio Pilipinas and Capital 104.3 Cola.
Paano nga ba mag-register para magkaroon ng schedule sa Bagong Pilipinas Presidential Action Center? Narito ang mga dapat gawin. Gamit ang iyong mobile device, pumunta sa eGov.ph app. Pwede itong i-download mula sa Apple App Store o sa Google Play Store. Gumawa ng account. Ilagay ang email address, valid mobile number, pagkatapos ay makakatanggap ka ng one-time code sa iyong email. Gamitin ang code sa eGov app para sa verification ng iyong account at ng mga impormasyong ibinigay. Congratulations! Meron ka ng eGov.ph app account. Pwede mo na ma-access ang iba't ibang serbisyo ng gobyerno kabilang ang mga serbisyo sa Bagong Pilipinas Presidential Action Center.
Dati-rati maraming pamilyang Pilipino ang kapos. May mga magulang na hindi alam kung saan kukuha ng makakain. Sa ayuda naman, matagal sila naghihintay bago makakuha. Kapag may kalamidad, ang relief goods, mano-manong inihahanda, kaya matagal dumating.
Ng ating walang gutom program.
Kaya malinaw ang utos ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Ilapit ang tulong, pabilisin ang serbisyo, siguraduhin may nakakain ang bawat pamilyang Pilipino.
Direktiba ng ating Pangulo, siguraduhin dapat una wala ng pamilyang Pilipino na nagugutom para maging bahagi sila ng productive workforce.
Nitong nakaraang linggo, personal na sinuri ng Pangulo ang pagpapatupad nito. Sa Walang Gutom Food Stamp Program, ang mga benepisyaryong tulad ni Lola Lumen ay tumatanggap ng 3,000 pisong food credits kada buwan sa electronic card, pambili ng masustansyang pagkain sa DSWD partner stores. Hindi na bibiyahe, mas mabilis. Ang resulta, nakikita. Mga masusustansyang pagkain ang agad na iuwi.
Meron na ring balansyado na nutritional value ang binibigay, lalo na sa mga bata.
Sa 4Ps o Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program, pinadali na rin ang pagkuha ng ayuda. Kung dati oras ang ginugugol sa biyahe, ngayon nasa cellphone na. Mas diretso, mas sigurado.
These are the underserved areas. Walang branch ng bangko. Lahat ginagawa natin para maging madali para sa kanila, makuha nila yung mga cash benefit nila.
Sa oras naman ng sakuna, mas mabilis na rin ang responde dahil sa mas maayos sa paghahanda at mass production ng relief goods. Kung dati ilang araw ang hinihintay, ngayon sa loob na lang ng ilang oras na ipadadala na ang tulong. Ito ang malinaw na resulta. Mas mabilis sa serbisyo, mas malapit sa tao, at mas nararamdaman sa araw-araw. Sa buong bansa, tuloy-tuloy ang trabaho. Isa-isang inaayos sa mga bagay na magpapagaan sa buhay ng mga Pilipino dahil walang Pilipino ang dapat magutom, mapabayaan, walang maiiwan.
Salamat.
Ito ang Presidential Broadcast Service.
Radyo Pilipinas.
Radyo Publiko
Ng Bagong Pilipinas para sa Bagong Pilipino. Naghahatid ng mahahalagang balita at impormasyon. Nag-uugnay ng pamahalaan sa sambayanan. Tulay sa himpapawid ng serbisyo publiko. Radyo Pilipinas. Radyo Publiko. Ang boses ng Pangulo. Sa Mega Manila, 738.
Radyo Pilipinas.
Radyo Publiko.
Oras sa buong Pilipinas, 11 minuto. Makalipas ang alas 3 ng hapon. Isang magandang hapon at napakainit na hapon po sa inyong lahat at welcome po tayo sa ating programang Kalinga Hatid ng Red Cross dito po sa Radyo Pilipinas. Ngayong tatlo ng buwan ng Mayo. Buwan na po tayo ng Mayo, napakabilis po, napakabilis ng panahon. Talaga nga naman, Mayo na po tayo, ika-5 buwan ng taon 2026. At talaga naman inaanyayahan namin kayo hanggang alas 4 po tayo ng hapon. At syempre napaka-special ng ating talakayan ngayon dahil tayo po ay magbibigay diin dito sa pagkakaroon ng Red Cross sa buong mundo, ang sinasabing World Red Cross Day. Okay? At syempre tayo din po ay napapakinggan sa Kalinga Hatid Facebook page at Radyo Pilipinas Facebook page, napapanood for the box, DJ Box. At mag-like and share po tayo, like, share, comment tayo sa mga mga nakikinig po dyan. At syempre nais nating pasalamatan ang bumubuo ng ating programa mula sa Presidential Communication Office, ang ating Secretary Dave Gomez, syempre ang ating Director ng Presidential Broadcasting Service, ang ating Station Manager Sir Alan Alyanige, at kasama yan ni Sir Ray Sampang, ni Sir Orly Lopez sa technical side, si Ma'am Joy Timiran, at syempre si Ma'am Tess Ramirez, at syempre sa ating Chairman and CEO Richard J. Gordon sa ating sa Philippine Red Cross, kasama ng iba pang Board of Governors natin at ng ating Secretary General Dr. Gwen Pang, at syempre sa ating mga administrators sa mahigit 100 chapters natin nationwide, kasama ng kanilang mga board of directors, Red Cross 143 at Red Cross Youth. Okay, at syempre bukod dito sa ating mga ginagawa ngayon sa Philippine Red Cross sa World Red Cross Day na papalapit na, tayo po ay meron din tayo, magbibigay din tayo ng mga update regarding dito sa pagputok ng Bulkang Mayon kahapon po yan, at ang ating chapter dyan sa Bicol, ang ating Albay chapter, ang ating Camarines Sur, ang ating Camarines Norte, lahat po ng mga chapters natin dyan sa Bicol region ay nakaantabay po kasama ang kanilang mga Red Cross 143, at magbibigay tayo ng mga update dyan maya-maya. At marami rin tayong mga gaganap ngayon, ibibigay po namin yan sa inyo maya-maya po. Pero bago ang lahat, nice natin ibigay daan sa ating kasama natin dito lagi sa Philippine Red Cross, ang ating Governor Corazon, Alma. Magandang hapon po, ma'am.
Yes, magandang hapon. We're very fortunate na ang topic ngayon, World Red Cross Day 2026, Keeping Humanity Alive. Ang guest natin, Mr. Jaryll Ong, Regional Volunteering Coordinator, Asia Pacific National Society Development Unit, IFRC, Asia Pacific Office, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And he's ready now. I think he's now in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So we're doing this interview today. Let's begin.
Yes.
What is the official theme for this year's World Red Cross and Red Crescent Day, and why was it chosen? Go ahead, Mr. Jaryll Ong.
Thank you very much, Madam. Well, I just wanted to say magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure with you today, especially alongside the Philippine Red Cross as we mark World Red Cross and Red Crescent Day. Now, this year's theme is United in Humanity. It's a very simple phrase, but a very deliberate one. I think we are living in a time where divisions are becoming more visible, whether due to conflict, climate pressures, inequality, or even misinformation. And at the same time, we're seeing increasing attacks on humanitarian workers and a growing tendency to reduce people to labels or even statistics. So this year's theme is about pushing back against that. United in Humanity reminds us that regardless of where we come from, what we believe, or the crisis we face, our shared humanity is what connects us, and it also reflects how the Red Cross and Red Crescent movement operates, a global network but deeply local, made up of volunteers who are part of the community they serve.
How does this year's theme reflect current global humanitarian challenges, and in what ways does the IFRC ensure the theme resonates across different cultures, and what are the most urgent humanitarian issues the IFRC is addressing this year? Go ahead, Jaryll.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. I think United in Humanity really speaks directly to the realities that we are facing today. And humanitarian needs are not just increasing, they're becoming more complex and more divided. We are dealing with overlapping crises, climate-related disasters, protracted conflicts, health emergencies, and also large-scale displacement. But beyond that, there is a growing fragmentation in how people see each other. Now, in many contexts, people affected by crisis are being labeled, politicized, or even dehumanized. And at the same time, humanitarian workers and volunteers are facing increasing risks, including lack of access, mistrust, and in some cases, direct attacks. So the theme is not just symbolic, it is actually addressing to these challenges. Now, for the IFRC, we really work through the 191 national societies, each rooted in our communities. So while the theme is global, how it becomes to life is shaped locally through local languages, cultural norms, and specific challenges people are facing. Our volunteers are the bridges here, and they understand what resonates in their communities, and they translate global ideas into meaningful local action.
And how does the IFRC adapt its strategies to respond to emerging crises? An example, climate disasters, conflicts, health emergencies, and as in the Philippines, the eruption of the volcano.
Exactly. No, thank you for that wonderful question. I think the IFRC has really had to shift from reacting to crisis to anticipating and managing them in much more proactive and locally driven way. And one of the major changes is the move towards what we call anticipatory action. Now, instead of waiting for disaster to strike, we now use early warning systems and forecasts to trigger early action. For example, releasing funds and mobilizing volunteers before the floods or storms hit, so communities can come prepared and reduce the impact, or as you say in the Philippines, on volcano eruption. So we've also really strengthened locally led response. And the reality is that local actors, especially national societies such as the Philippine Red Cross, are always the first to respond. So the IFRC is really investing more in the capacities, systems, and leadership rather than relying on external search response alone.
Sir Jaryll, by the way, sir, are you having a good connection of internet? You're delivering such a good message to us, but unfortunately, there's a little glitch in your audio, so we can. By the way, we are hearing you're loud and clear, but there's some sort of. Can you just rejoin daw? Pag nag-rejoin kasi siya, mawawala po tayo sa area kasi on board na po tayo eh. So siguro later na lang po. Just fix your signal there, Sir Jaryll, so we can hear it more efficient here in our program. Okay, Gob Cora?
Okay, can you share recent success stories or impactful initiatives led by IFRC or its national societies? And how does the IFRC encourage youth and local communities to participate in humanitarian work? Go ahead, Jaryll.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me better now. I did try to change some settings a bit. But yes, there are many, and but what stands out are the stories where you see direct human impact, where support doesn't just respond to a crisis, but actually changes how people cope with it. Now, across the region, for example, in South Asia, we've seen how early warning and early action systems are making real differences in flood-prone communities instead of just reacting after disaster strikes. Communities now receive alerts in advance, and volunteers go door to door to support evacuations. Families are able to move to safety, protect their belongings, and reduce losses before the worst happens. And that shift from reacting to preparing is a real big step. And we've also been seeing strong impact through cash-assisted programs. Rather than a one-size-fits-all approach, families now receive direct support and can decide what they need the most. Whether it's food, medicine, or repairing homes, many have been able to also restart small livelihoods or keep their children in school because of that flexibility. And bringing closer to home, I think the Philippine Red Cross has also been doing exactly this in typhoon-prone communities, During the recent responses, volunteers didn't just issue warnings. They went house to house, helping people evacuate early, especially those most at risk. And at the same time, cash support helped their families recover faster and with dignity. So the impact is not just about the numbers of people reached, it's also actually about how communities become more prepared, more resilient, and more connected in the face of repeated crises.
Sir Jaryll, Gov Cora, as advised by our technicians here in the studio, we pause for a commercial break. So, Sir Jaryll, can you rejoin to the Zoom link that we send to you? You can rejoin. So we have a good audio when you rejoin the Zoom link, and we're going to have news flash first before we continue our interview. Gov Cora, is that okay? Gov Cora?
Okay.
Okay.
To continue, what role do volunteers play in advancing the mission of the Red Cross and Red Crescent movement? And how can ordinary individuals contribute meaningful beyond donations?
Okay.
Go ahead, Jaryll.
Let's pause for a commercial break. We cannot understand the audio of Sir Jaryll. Sir Jaryll, just rejoin. We're going to pause for a commercial break. Sir Oli.
Magandang araw, si Ding Dong Dantes po ito. Nakatira ka ba malapit sa dagat? Uy, sana all by the beach. Pero alam mo bang at risk kayo sa storm surge o daluyong ng bagyo? Storm surge ang tawag sa malalaking alon na nabubuo dahil sa malakas na hangin. At hindi lang ito basta-basta alon na. Pwede itong lumaki ng katumbas ng 2 palapag na bahay. Intense. Kaya naman, kung may banta ng storm surge sa inyong lugar, mag-evacuate na agad bago pa man dumating ang bagyo. Hindi na kailangan magpanik dahil #panatag ang may alam.
Maging panatag, Pilipinas.
Mula sa iba't ibang panig ng Pilipinas, narito ang kalipunan ng mga balitang Red Cross. Ako si Lester Villamartin para sa PRC News Flash. Muling pinagtibay ng Philippine Red Cross at University of Perpetual Health System Delta or UPHSD ang kanilang matibay na ugnayan sa isinasagawang bloodletting activity bilang bahagi ng 50th founding anniversary ng Universidad sa Las Piñas City nitong nagdaang April 17, 2026. Ang naturang aktibidad ay pinangmagatang Bloodletting, Dugo Ko, Buhay Mo, Part 15, Golden Legacies, Golden Lifelines. Dinalahan ito ni PRC Chairman at CEO Richard J. Gordon kasama sina UPHSD President Dr. Anthony Jose M. Tamayo, School Director Dr. Arnaldo S. de Guzman at Executive Vice President Dr. Marjorie S. Gutierrez Tangog. Nagsimula ang partnership noong 2011 at nakapagtala na ng kabuuang 5,114 blood units mula sa mahigit 1 dekadang pagtutulungan. Pinalakas pa ito sa pamamagitan ng Memorandum of Agreement noong 2016 at pinalawak noong 2024 upang isama ang Red Cross 143, Red Cross Youth at iba pang training initiatives. Para sa taong ito, sumatotal na 123 blood units ang nakolekta. Sa kanyang mensahe, hinikayat ni Gordon ang kabataan na maging aktibong bahagi ng pagbabago sa lipunan.
I make people part of the process of change. I make you an agent of change. That's what your school, I'm sure, is trying to teach you. You're not a spectator. You're not an observer. You're active. Kung di nyo sisundin yung sinasabi sa inyo at babalik kayo sa dati, you'll be ordinary.
Nagpahayag din ng pasasalamat si PRC Secretary General Dr. Gwendolyn Tipang sa naturang universidad para sa pagsusulong ng voluntary blood donation activity. Binigyan diin naman ni Dr. Tamayo ang layunin ng naturang universidad at Philippine Red Cross sa pagtulong sa mga mamamayang Pilipinong nangangailangan.
University of Perpetual Health at ng Red Cross. Napaka-golden po, napakahalaga dahil 15 years na nagsasama ang Philippine Red Cross at ang University of Perpetual Health, ang buong community na nagbibigay ng dugo. At pareho po ang layunin ng university at ng Red Cross na makatulong sa ating mga kababayang Pilipino na nangangailangan ng dugo.
Lubos na nagpapasalamat ang organisasyon sa UPHSD sa patuloy nitong pagsuporta sa pagsusulong ng voluntaryong blood donation at serbisyong pangkomunidad na nagsisilbing huwaran na matatag na partnership para sa pagliligtas ng buhay. At yan ang pinakabagong balita mula sa PRC. Abangan ang mga news updates dito sa PRC News Flash. Ako si Lester Villamartin, nag-uulat.
Hi, I'm Safeguard. It is so nice to meet you. I may look small, but when emergencies happen, I become very important. I fit in your wallet, but I can save you thousands. For only 1,200 pesos a year, I make you a member of the Philippine Red Cross, helping people even when you're not there. Safeguard benefits include free ambulance service when emergency strikes and also one free bag of blood because sometimes life depends on it. I've got your back. Accident benefits make sure you and your loved ones are safe, like having a superhero in your wallet. I may be small, but with me you carry protection, kindness, and courage. You're never alone when emergencies strike. Get your Safeguard today. Carry it with you, protect lives, empower families, and be a hero. Make a difference. Save a life.
Maging fuel efficient. Planuhin ang bawat biyahe para iwas traffic. Mag-carpool para sa mababang carbon footprint at emission. Tipid na pamasahe, may savings ka na aabot sa 10%.
This is a public service announcement from the Department of Energy and this station.
Mas pinalakas, pinalawak.
Radyo Pilipinas.
Radyo Publiko. Radio Pilipinas and Capital 104.3 Collab. World Service Sports Radio.
Ang taginting ng
FM at lakas ng AM.
Sa iisang himpilan.
Pinagsanib na puwersa
Para sa mas malawak na
serbisyo publiko.
Radyo Magazine 78.
Sports Radio 918.
Radyo Pilipinas. Radyo Publiko 738.
At Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Mapapakinggan lang
Sa Capital 104.3 FM. Capital 104.3. AM and FM Collab. Sa Capital 104.3 FM.
Radyo Pilipinas.
Radio Pilipinas and Capital 104.3 Collab.
Okay, nagbabalik po tayo at speaking po doon sa ating news flash kanina na tayo ay nagbibigay ng nagkaroon po tayo ng blood donation dyan sa University of Perpetual Help. Tayo po ngayon sa kasalukuyang mga oras na to ay nagkasagawa din po ng blood donation dyan po sa Araneta Coliseum kung saan po nagse-celebrate po ang ating Philippine Basketball Association ng ika-50 nilang anibersaryo at nagsasagawa po ang ating mga volunteers ng Philippine Red Cross. Diyan po, nangongolekta po tayo ng mga dugo. Sa mga nais pong mag-donate ng dugo, punta lang po kayo dyan sa Araneta Coliseum. At syempre, ang alam ko po kapag meron daw successful blood donor, ay may libreng tickets daw para makapanood ng PBA game. Okay, Gob Cora?
Yes, to continue, what ethical dilemmas arise in humanitarian work and how are they addressed? Go ahead, Jaryll.
Thank you very much. I think these days, ethical dilemmas are not occasional and they are very constant. So we are operating in a much more polarized world where almost every issue is seen through a political or social lens. And that makes it harder to maintain a neutral and impartial humanitarian role. Now, in many situations, if you are not seen to support a particular side or narrative, you are perceived as being against it. So it can feel like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And you see in conflicts like Gaza or in debates around migration, where humanitarian needs are often framed through political positions. But for the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies and the wider movement, the focus is not on taking sides. It is on protecting human life and dignity and upholding international humanitarian law. And migration itself is not something new. It has existed for centuries. People have always moved in search of safety, opportunity, or survival. What has changed today is the environment around it. In a highly connected world where we are constantly exposed to information and misinformation, these issues become more amplified, more politicized, and at times more inhumane. There's a line often attributed to William Shakespeare from the stranger's case, which still resonates. Imagine that you see the wretched strangers, their babies at their backs, with their poor luggage, plodding to the ports. It is a reminder that behind every debate, there are human beings simply trying to survive. So how do we navigate these dilemmas? We come back consistently to the fundamental principles of the Red Cross: humanity, impartiality, neutrality, and independence. These are not abstract ideas, they are practical guides for action. And we rely on local trust and presence through our volunteers, such as in the Philippines, and we stay focused on people, not politics. That doesn't remove dilemmas, but it gives us a clear anchor in a very complex and divided world.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jaryll Ong. How is the IFRC using technology and innovation to improve disaster response and preparedness?
Thank you very much for the question. When we talk about innovation in the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, it's not just about high-tech solutions. It's really about using the right tools, data, and approaches to act earlier and more efficiently. One of the biggest shifts is towards anticipatory action. We are increasingly using data, forecasts, and science-based triggers, such as weather data or flood modeling, to take action before disaster fully hits. That could mean releasing funds early, mobilizing volunteers, sending early warning messages, or helping communities prepare and evacuate in advance. Now, the goal is simple: to reduce impact and not just to respond to it. Now, early warning systems are a big part of this, but what makes them effective is not just about technology, it's how they are connected to people and action on the ground. A warning only matters if someone understands it and knows what to do next. At the same time, innovation is not always about being digital or complex. In many communities, some of the most effective solutions are local, low cost, and practical. Things that may seem even primitive, but work because they are trusted and understood. This could be community-based alert systems, locally managed evacuation plans, or simply ways of protecting homes and livelihood ahead of disasters. We are also using technology to improve coordination, whether it's data systems to track needs and response, or digital tools to support communication and decision-making. But we are careful not to overcomplicate, especially in humanitarian contexts where access, connectivity, and capacity can be limited. So the real innovation is not just about technology itself, it's in how we combine science, local knowledge, and community action to act earlier, faster, and more effectively.
Well said. What long-term goals then does the IFRC aim to achieve in the next decade?
Well, at the core, the IFRC is focused on staying relevant, effective, and rooted in the local communities as humanitarian needs continue to grow and evolve. There are a few clear priorities shaping this. First, helping communities become safer and more resilient, especially as climate-related disasters become more frequent and severe. The focus is not just on the response, but on preparedness and reducing risk before crises happen. Second, supporting people to live healthy and dignified lives. And this means strengthening community health, addressing vulnerabilities, and ensuring that people can recover and rebuild in a sustainable way. And thirdly, is to promote social inclusion and a culture of nonviolence and peace, which is increasingly important in a world more divided and polarized. But just as important is how the IFRC is changing the way it works. There is a strong shift towards locally led action, investing in national societies such as the Philippine Red Cross, so that they can lead in their own context rather than relying heavily on external support. There is also a push to operate more effectively as a global network, bringing together local, regional, and international strength in a more coordinated way. And more importantly, there is a focus on trust, accountability, and real impact, making sure that what we do actually improves people's lives, not just on paper, but in reality. So the next decade is really about scaling what works, strengthening local leadership, and adapting to a world that is becoming more complex and uncertain.
Again, well said. Why is the World Red Cross and Red Crescent Day still relevant today, despite the years when it was first established?
Well, the World Red Cross and Red Crescent Day is, and foremost, a tribute to Henri Dunant, a man who over 160 years ago saw human suffering and chose to act, calling on the humanity of others. What started as an idea has grown into a global movement we know today. But its relevance go far beyond history. We are living in a world that in many ways feels increasingly broken, marked by conflict, climate crisis, inequalities, and deep polarization. In that context, this day matters even more. We are living in a world that in many ways feels increasingly broken, marked by conflict, even more. Because it's not just about looking back, it's about reminding ourselves of what still holds us together. Now, every year we mark this day not despite the challenges we face, but because of them. It's a moment to recognize the quiet, everyday acts of humanity, especially by our volunteers who continue to show up for others even in the most difficult circumstances. And when you look at it, the Red Cross and Red Crescent movement has around 18 million volunteers globally in a world of over 8 billion people. That's actually a very small proportion. But as Margaret Mead once said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. So whilst the world the world where we know may feel heavy at times, the World Red Cross and Red Crescent Day is ultimately a celebration of life, hope, and humanity. A reminder that even in the darkest moments, there are people choosing to help, to care, and to stand together.
What message then would the IFRC like to send to the global community this year?
Well, this year's the message is very simple but urgent. We are united in our humanity and we must act like it. At a time when the world feels, increasingly divided, where people are often reduced to labels, statistics, or even political narratives, we are calling for a return to something more fundamental, recognizing each other first and foremost as human beings. Because behind every crisis, every headline, every number, there is a person, someone's family member, neighbor, or even someone's friend. Through the work of the IFRC and across the movement, we see this every day, whether it's a volunteer in the Philippines, a community member in Africa, or a family affected by conflict anywhere in the world. The realities may differ, but the urge to survive and the instinct to help one another are the same everywhere. And that's why this year's theme, United in Humanity, is also about reclaiming our shared narrative, especially in the face of increasing dehumanization and attacks on humanitarian workers. We want people to see that our volunteers are not outsiders. They are part of the communities they serve, and the people we support are not statistics. They are individuals with dignity, resilience, and agency. So the message to the global community is this: choose humanity, see the person behind the crisis, and remember that even in a divided world, our shared humanity is still the strongest thing we still have.
Again, well said, Jaryll Ong. How can awareness events translate into sustained action throughout the year? And later, my interview will focus on you. How did Jaryll become IFRC Area Pacific Office in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia? Your history with the World Red Cross Day, and of course, keeping humanity alive. Go ahead with your how can awareness events translate into sustained action throughout the year?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. I think the IFRC thinks that the action that the everyday action of this awareness raising and the World Red Cross Day is something very important. I think we really look at the not just looking at these celebrations alone, but basically how we can measure, look at emphasis on community feedback and accountability. We can really listen to the people we serve through surveys, through community engagement, hotline, or even direct feedback mechanisms. And it's really about being transparent and responsible to the community that we serve. And the real thing about the celebration is really about taking action and to measure the success on real impact on people's life. And accountability is also really ensured by listening, learning, and being transparent about how we do and what we do.
You have answered all the questions with great depth and, of course, information. But I guess we in the radio program Kalinga Hatid ng Red Cross would like to know more about who is Jaryll Ong. When did he join the IFRC and where did he come from? Where did he go to school? And we want to honor your parents for being with IFRC. Go ahead, Jaryll.
No, thank you very much for that question. I think I started my Red Cross journey back in 2008 when I was just a freshman in middle school. Yeah, in middle school. And, I started off as a youth volunteer of the Malaysian Red Crescent. I'm originally from Malaysia. And over the years, I think passion became my vocation. I totally studied something different. I studied biomedical science. And throughout the years, even in university, I could not, stop doing volunteering work for the Malaysian Red Crescent. And when I graduated in 2017, I had the honor and pleasure of working with my national society at the headquarters in the Malaysian Red Crescent for 2 years before joining the IFRC in 2019, just before COVID. And I can tell you, working for the movement, working for the IFRC, especially in times of COVID, is truly an eye-opener. It's an honor and a privilege to serve the community. And for me, it's an honor and privilege to serve the national societies and their volunteers to ensure that our volunteers remain motivated, engaged, and protected. And I think throughout this, more than a decade worth of my Red Crescent journey, it's been truly fulfilling and rewarding to be part of this humanitarian movement.
I am sure you have a big message to the volunteers all over the world, considering that your engagement with IFRC, particularly in Kuala Lumpur, where you come from, augurs well for the Filipinos who are watching our program, Hatid, Kalinga Hatid ng Red Cross. And I am proud to have had the occasion to meet you and looking forward to meet you elsewhere, maybe in the Philippines in the future. But I am proud to have had the opportunity to meet you, and you've answered all of the 15 questions that have been put forward very well. And I cannot complain that we had gaps in our information because you answered all the questions very well. I guess the message that we would like to ask you will be your parting shots to the volunteers who are watching all over the Philippines and, of course, in your own place of work in Kuala Lumpur. What is your message to all the volunteers all over the world? Go ahead, Jaryll.
Thank you for that. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. To all the Philippine Red Cross volunteers listening today, you are the reason this movement exists. In times of disasters, in moments of crisis, and even in everyday situations, you continue to show what humanity looks like in action. So as we mark this day, I hope you also take a moment to recognize your own contribution and to take care of yourselves as well. And because through your actions, communities are stronger and hopes continue to exist. With that, thank you very much for having me today.
Yes, we've had this program for 20 years, and I'm proud to have been part of this endeavor. And of course, meeting you as well, even through this radio program. And it has been an amazing afternoon inviting you, having invited you to speak on this very important program, World Red Cross Day 2026, Keeping Humanity Alive. And I think you already mentioned the different requirements needed in the IFRC, and you epitomize what Red Cross and Red Crescent Society is all about. Perhaps you can give your parting shots to the volunteers in the Philippines all over the world. because the Philippine Red Cross and of course World Red Cross is all over the world. Go ahead, Jaryll Ong.
No, yes. Thank you again for this opportunity. I think my parting words is, of course, stay safe, keep motivated and keep engaged, and continue to be the light in the darkness in the communities that we serve. And really good job to all of you. And I wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Well, we might not be able to change all the problems in the world, but we certainly can make a difference. And I think interviewing you today already made a difference for our radio program, Kalinga, Hatid ng Red Cross. And we want to thank you very, very much for the opportunity to invite you and, of course, guest in our radio program. And looking forward to meeting you in another capacity, perhaps when you visit the Philippines or, in that matter, for any World Red Cross Day. Thank you very, very much, Jaryll Ong. And of course, I want to give you back to Edison Enriquez, who is the host of this program. Go ahead, Edison.
Yes, Gov Cora, can we have some few message of Sir Jaryll on for the celebration of our World Red Cross Day? Sir Jaryll, final words?
Message on World Red Cross Day. Go ahead.
No, sure. So, yeah, thank you very much for having me. Yes, I would say maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. I think, we live in a very vulnerable, uncertain, and world that we live in today. But thank you for standing united in humanity together with us, and let us continue to carry the flame of humanity that Henry Dunant once started, and continue to serve in our communities that we live in. Thank you very much.
Last question. How old are you, Jaryll?
I'm 31 this year.
Oh, very young.
Yes, yes. Proud to have had you
Still
in
in the
Kalinga,
calendar.
Hatid ng Red Cross, and we'll remember this interview today on this month of May.
Yes.
And looking forward to meeting you elsewhere in the country,
Yes.
in the Philippines, or in the world. Thank you very, very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
And also, we'd like to give our thanks to Sir Sanjeev, the head of delegation of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies here in the Philippines, and to Ma'am Filame Guevara for facilitating our request for the IFRC to be our guest for the World Red Cross Day. Gov Cora, your any message for our World Red Cross Day to our volunteers?
Well, our final words will be to our volunteers. Let us make a difference in our country and in the world. Thank you very, very much as we celebrate World Red Cross Day, and of course in remembering that World Red Cross Day 2026 is keeping humanity alive. Thank you one and all for watching this program, Kalinga, Hatid ng Red Cross.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gov Cora. By the way, before we end up our program, just want to give this report from our continuing assistance in the eruption of Mayon volcano. Ito po nag-iwan ng makapal na ashfall sa ilang bahagi ng Albay ang minor eruption ng Mayon volcano. At nagbigay paalala ang Philippine Red Cross sa mga komunidad na manatiling alerto at sundin ang mga abiso ng lokal na pamahalaan. Tayo po ay magsuot ng face mask o basang tela na pantakip sa ilong at bibig. Protektahan ang mga mata, iwasang magwalis ng tuyong abo, at basain muna ang ashfall bago linisin upang hindi ito muling kumalat sa hangin. Sa mga lugar na apektado ng ashfall, manatili muna sa loob ng bahay hanggat maaari. Siguraduhin ligtas ang inuming tubig at pagkain, at bantayan ng mga bata, matatanda at may sakit sa baga o hika. Ayan pong video na yan ay mula po yan sa ating Red Cross 143 sa Albay na si Sir Jovan J. Batagon, at continue pa rin ang ating mga chapters po dyan sa pagbibigay assistance at pagkakaroon po ng assessment sa mga naapektuhan ng mga ashfall na yan dahil sa pagputok ng Mayon kahapon. At kung may mga nais po kayo report, Ipagbigay nyo lang, alam nyo yan sa atin, tawag po kayo sa 143 at 24/7 pong bukas ang ating operation center. Okay? At syempre nais nating ding pasalamatan ng Alagang PBA Foundation sa bibigay daan para sa bloodletting natin na ginaganap ngayon sa Araneta Coliseum. Hanggang alas 4 po yan ng hapon. So kung gusto pang may humabol, dyan po tayo sa may Araneta Coliseum. Okay, yan na po ang ating programang Kalinga Hatid ng Red Cross dito po sa Radyo Pilipinas ngayon po ikatatlo ng buwan sa buwan ng Mayo 2026. At sa susunod po na linggo, magkita-kita po tayo ulit mula alas 3 ang hapon hanggang alas 4 po tayo ng hapon. Ito po si Edison Enriquez at susunod na po ang pagbabalita hatid ni Sir Albert Sebastian. At kasunod po yan ang programa ni Ma'am Bads Fernandez, Pulson ng Pilipino. Oras, 8 minuto bago mag alas 4 ng hapon.
Time to